Good morning, everyone. It's Brenda Quintana here, and it's Casing Tuesday, which is the day when we take a card out of a Stampin' Up catalog and we give it a makeover. And I have lots to talk to you about today. It's also February 4th, and today Stampin' Up is releasing some new coordination products that coordinate with things that we already have in the catalog. There are new products. And so I just want to kind of make you aware of a few of my favorites. So I'll show you can't even speak this morning. I will show you them in just a moment. And good morning to everyone who's joining me this morning. I'm sorry I'm a little late this morning. A busy morning here, but I'm glad that you have joined me. And why don't I get started? First of all, let me share with you the card that we're copying today. It's this one right here out of the mini catalog. It's on page 14. So if you have your catalog, you can definitely just open it to that page. Or if you want to, I also have this sketch posted on my blog, or this card posted on my blog, so you can follow along right on my blog, and the link for my blog directly to that post is down below. And it's also on our Casing Tuesday Facebook group, which you are most welcome to join, and that link is also below. When we have this Facebook group, and we have a Facebook group where we can all join in and make over the same card, so that you can kind of join in with all of us that are copying the same card. And I actually haven't been over there this morning. I have to post my card still, but I'm sure there's already been some people that have posted their card on the group. I have it automated posting, so that at 6 a.m. on the morning Eastern Standard Time, the card posts, so that you can pop in at any point and start giving your card a makeover and start posting. So I haven't actually been over to post my card yet. So let me just show you the sketch real quick too. This is the sketch. So even if you think, wow, well, let's reset for a second. That's a really complicated card. Even if you think that looks complicated to you, you can still use this sketch, and this will simplify things for you, and it will give you an idea of the layers that you can use. Now, you don't have to use these exact layers. It's an inspiration, so this is just to help you a little bit with the measurements in case you have trouble with those. Trust me, if you start card making for a while, you will probably start to understand what different measurements work well. But if you're starting out, it's so helpful to have the sketch. Actually, it's even helpful for me to have the sketch sometimes, because if I'm in a rush, it's just nice to have someone feed me the measurements rather than having to try and figure them out on my own. All right, let me just pop over. Oops, I have my other camera up. Here's my camera, and I just wanted to show you really quickly some of the coordination products. So we have the stamp set called Special Someone in the mini catalog. Pop this over here. We have the Celebration stamp set, Happy Birthday to You. And now we have matching die sets for these. The birthday dies and the birthday dies and the special day dies that match up with these two stamp sets. So that is just really helpful, and I got both of those, and I'll use them in the future. Last week I did a card with a Happy Birthday to You stamp set, but I didn't use the dies yet. But they are nice to have so that you can cut things out. The other thing that I really loved was this new paper that's called Pleased as Punch, and it's so pretty and springy, and it matches our some punch bundles we have. So this is the first pattern. This is matches our umbrella. I forget the name of that. Let me grab my catalog so that I can tell you the exact name of the bundle it matches. There it is. It's called Under My Umbrella Bundle. So it's a stamp set with a punch. And so it matches that. On the back side, we have beautiful raindrops, so it's kind of sweet. Then we have, you get 3 sheets of each paper. So you get 12 total. Then we have one that matches our heartfelt bundle. So beautiful hearts on the one side that you can punch out, and then just kind of a nice grid pattern on the back side. Let me grab the next one. Then we have this one that matches the small, what is this called? It's called the Small Blooms. I don't know all the names of my punches anymore. I used to know every single name. Small Bloom Punch, and this is a celebration product. And then the back side of this paper is just a beautiful rainbow kind of stripe, a spring rainbow. And then finally we have, look at these tulips. This one matches our Timeless Tulips bundle. And so you can punch out the flowers and the leaves. And then the back is kind of a neutral green. So this is just beautiful, beautiful paper. And the item number for this one is 153558. And you can find all of these products if you pop over to the store. There is a link that will show you those new products that you can purchase. So let me see if I have any questions so far. Oh, good morning. Oh yeah, Karen says she loves the, Karen and Nancy said they love the new paper. It is just gorgeous. All right, that's just a little aside this morning, but let me talk about my card that I created. Let me put it the right way around. It uses some products out of the annual catalog, out of the mini catalog, and out of the celebration catalog. So I started, the center is using the Thoughtful Bloom stamp set and the Small Blooms, oh my gosh, the Small Bloom Punch. I need to write the names on my Small Bloom Punch. Yes, okay, the Small Bloom Punch. And then I'm using this heirloom frame out of the annual catalog. And then this little greeting is right from the Label Me Bold stamp set. And this one's in the mini catalog. And this is one that might get overlooked. But what I love about this is these bold little greetings, which are so helpful sometimes. I just stamp this and cut this out. I love them because they're very, they stand out nicely on a card, and you can just cut them out really, really easy because they're small enough. So just, yeah, love this stamp set as a greeting stamp set. Okay, let's get started, and I'll show you how I made this card. So I thought I would actually emboss this on camera because I know some people have trouble with the embossing. This comes with, it's a die set with an embossing folder with it. There's a square one and then there's this oval one. So I went ahead and I already cut some Rococo Rose cardstock with the die. It just cuts an oval with a window inside of it. Now the problem comes in is how do you align this oval in here? And one thing that is, if you try and align it on the outside, there's so many lines on the outside, it's kind of difficult. So it's so much easier to take it and align the inside oval. So that's what I like to do, is use that inside oval for alignment. And I'm going to use my die cutting machine. I have a Big Shot. You can use whatever machine you have. If you have a Big Shot, sorry about the camera, then I'll show you how to put this together. I'm using the base platform, the die with the cardstock inside it, and this is one of our new dies. So I'm going to use this blue plate on top. If you don't have the blue plate, use one of your regular cutting plates and you put it on top. but you're going to shim up the bottom with a few layers of cardstock to bring it up to the correct height. So you can try one at a time. I think it will probably be about 3 pieces of cardstock that you'll need to bring it up to the right height. Cut them at least the size of your embossing folder, okay, and put them underneath the embossing folder. So to get good embossing, you might want to just run this through once and then just give it a little bit of a diagonal slant and then run it back through. Because there's uneven pressure sometimes in this, the roller, it helps to just give it a little bit of a twist, and that will help you with the embossing. And look how nice that embossing is. And it is centered because I use the inside to center it. Just my little trick. So if you have a look, I have dulled down this Rococo Rose frame by using a sponge dauber and my Whisper White ink pad. And Whisper White, it's a craft ink, so it dries over time. So if I haven't had a big stamp yet that I've had to use it with, so I actually have just inked half of it because this tends to dry over time if you don't use it very often. So I just keep this half inked and the other half uninked. One day if I have a bigger stamp that I want to use, then I'll ink up the whole thing. But for now I just have half of it inked up. I'm just going to tap my designated sponge dauber. I only use this with white, and I'm just going to do like little tiny circles on my over my embossing, and this is just going to help bring out the detail a little bit of the embossing. So I'm just going to go around. This morning when I inked this and I sponged this, it was very inky because I re-inked it this morning, and it got a little whiter than I really wanted it to be. So this one's going to be a little bit darker. Just make sure I hit all of those areas. So that just kind of maybe ages it a little bit, gives it a little bit of a different sort of feel to it, just by bringing it out. But it doesn't change it a lot, so it just gives it a nice little oomph to it. Then I took my a little this is an oval. It's the largest oval from the Layering Ovals dies, and I'm going to take my pretty peacock ink pad, and I'm using this stamp from the Thoughtful Bloom stamp set. It's basically leaves and branches, and that's what we're going to nest our little flowers off of. So I'm just going to stamp this in Pretty Peacock, and I'm going to stand up so I don't stick my head in there, and you just want to try and center it. And then we're gonna close this up. We'll need it in a second again, but I'll grab my Blushing Bride, and then I'll grab this little tiny flower from the same stamp set, and everywhere where a stem ends, I'm going to stamp a flower. The trick with this is to make sure you don't press too hard, but yet you want to make sure you hit all the petals. So when I was doing this quickly, I noticed I wasn't capturing all the petals. So tap, tap, tap lightly onto the ink pad, and then just make sure you get all the petals stamped down. So it's about 5 flowers. The reason I stamp it on an oval, it's slightly larger than this window. If I were to just use a Whisper White window cut with a die, by the time you emboss this, because the cardstock lifts up, you'll find that there's a little bit of a gap. So I like to use a slightly larger oval, And then the other thing is I can kind of maneuver it a little bit. So when I'm gluing this down, I can center it because I have a little bit of wiggle room. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to just take a little bit of glue. A little bit of glue. Crickets, not a little bit of glue. I'm going to open up my glue nozzle with my paper clip, and hopefully now it will work. I've been really bad lately about leaving my glue open, so it's like no small wonder that it has been clogged a lot lately. It's user error, not the glue error. I've been using Tombow for so many years and I really love it. So I'm just going to add this onto here. It has a little bit of time before it dries completely, so you can kind of maneuver it. I want my pattern to be kind of centered. That looks good. And then I'll just press down. I don't know if you can see the light coming through there. No, maybe not. I can only see it, but it's really off center. So, but it doesn't matter because I still have a little bit of coverage over on this side, so there's no cracks or whatever. So it works perfectly to use that largest piece to kind of get it centered. So let's set up the card base next. So I'm using Purple Posy, and this piece is 8.5 by 5.5 and scored in half by 4 1/4. And I'm using some Woven Threads Designer Series paper. And I'll just add this on here. And you know, basically, I was just looking at what colors I wanted to use, and I just took the colors right out of the Woven Threads paper. There's Peacock, there's Posy, and then there's Rococo Rose. So it makes it really easy. I don't have to do any big major decisions. It's just like, yep, using the colors out of the paper. And I hope I mentioned what the dimensions of this piece are, but 5 1/4 by 4 inches. The reason I do it a little bit smaller than the entire card base is if you want to make multiples of these, you can get 6 pieces out of a sheet of Designer Series paper. If I did 4 1/4, I would only be able to do 4 sheets out of a 12 by 12. So it just gives you a few more options. Then I'm going to take this and adhere it down. It's hard when you've got embossing, but I still am putting some glue on the embossing just in an attempt to kind of get it down. And I'm going to be boring. I'm going to center this because I have that greeting on the side. It's going to make it not look so horribly centered. Not that there's anything wrong with centering things, it's just that it's better if you have a few elements that are not completely centered. So then we need to do a few more things of stamping. So I'm going to take this piece of Blushing Bride cardstock, and I'm going to take this little flower stamp and just stamp it onto here. I'll take my little punch, center it, and punch it, and it went flying. And that will go in the center in a moment. And then I also want to stamp my little congratulations. And I've got a little scrap piece of Whisper Weight here. And just ink this up. Tap, tap, tap. You don't want to push this too far because otherwise it's going to fill in congratulations, and you don't want that. You don't want it to fill in the letters. And if you get too much ink down into the little letters, then it's going to obscure the letters. So then I'll just take this piece and I'll cut along it. I'll leave just a little bit of white. So I'm going to cut the long sides first because it's easier to cut the long sides first. And then just come in and cut along the short sides. It's pretty easy to cut these out because they're not super long, so it's very easy to get kind of a straight line along there. It's not probably 100% perfect, but it's not hard, really not hard at all. Okay, so then what I want to do is add my flower. I've got a mini dimensional here, and I'll just add this as close. I want to cover up the center point, so I'll just kind of add it onto there, and then the congratulations will also get a few little mini dimensionals. Does anyone else like the Label Me Bold stamp set? Does anyone else have it? I really like it. I like it for the greetings. I might actually use it eventually for, there's some background pieces that would look nice too, but I especially like it for the little words. And this actually was a set designed, I think, by a German demonstrator who reached her $1 million in lifetime sales. So that's an amazing achievement. And so anyway, then I'm just going to add that on there. Easy peasy. And then last thing I want to do is just add one of these little, they're called faceted dots. Oops. You know what? You know what would help me a lot? This would help me a lot. This is my take your pick tool, and that will just help me get this little dot in the right spot. And I'm just using a matching Rococo rose for the center here. I could have also used a pretty peacock one, or maybe even the purple posy one, but it's nice because these all match the colors in this paper. So there is the card, and you can see I've got a lot more white on here, so if you like more of a distressed look, you could add even more white to there, or you can keep it a little bit less less distressed, like the one on the right. So you can just choose whatever you like, and that is my card for the day. Let me see. Switch back over to me. Hi, look at my hair sticking up funny today. Stay down. I just brushed it, and it has so much static electricity in the house right now because we're using heat, and it's very hard. Like, my hair is pretty fine anyway. Not that you need to know that, but that's what happens, like a fine hair and heat, and it just makes it want to stick up funny. So sorry about that. Let me see. I don't think I have any questions. This was a fairly straightforward card, but like always, it's good to have a little tip about how to center that embossing folder on that die piece, and just being able to add a little bit of white craft ink to an embossed image or an embossed piece of cardstock is kind of nice. So anyway, if you need any of the supplies that I talked about today, check out my blog link down below. You can click right over to that, and it has a complete supply list for today's project. If you have any questions, please let me know down below. If you like watching my videos, now this isn't for people that are watching me live on Facebook, but if you're watching this on YouTube, you please subscribe to my channel and click on the little notification bell so that you can get notifications when I do YouTube lives. I've been doing a lot more YouTube lives for my 3D projects, and I've been keeping my Casing Tuesday blog posts over on Facebook Live just to have a little bit of variety. All right, guys, I hope you have a great week. I will be back here later this week. I have a new tutorial coming out tomorrow, and I hope you will like it. All right, guys, see you soon. Bye-bye.